The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with Jeff and Kevin. Justin Steele is him. Cubs win versus the Giants today. Justin Steele he's not a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. He's our freaking Cy Young Award pitcher. And I'm sorry, but Blake Snell should not even be in the conversation. It's Justin Steele. And man, today he shoved in a much needed win against a playoff contender. We'll get into it more. We'll talk all about Justin Steele. We're going to dig into the maybe taxed bullpen and usage of how the Cubs are going to go forward with usage going down in the stretch run as we push for the playoffs. And we'll talk a little bit about Alexander Canario. And I know Cubs Twitter really wants him some playing time. We're going to dig into that. But how are you guys doing today after watching a great Cubs win, 5-0 win from our Cubbies today? Kevin, how are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. It was a great win. It was a great game to watch. It was, when did I get it on? I think it was like top of the second. No, it was bottom of the first. So I missed Steele's first inning, and they pulled it up, and then I realized it was Joe Girardi talking, so I immediately muted my TV. And then I watched the rest of the game, and it was beautiful. Put on some nice tunes in the background, just some steady beats, just like Steele was beating the zone, just making people look foolish. It was wonderful. Love to see it. What about you, Jeff?
It's just an absolute fantastic outing by Justin Balls of Steel. I mean, he looked
and you're sporting the Justin Steele shirt. Looking pretty sweet and fly. I'm wearing my K shirt. Go get your K shirt from Jake because he had 12 Ks today. But let's get into talking a little bit about this week as a whole. So Cubs went and they took 2 of 3 from the Brewers in a big, huge series. Needed to win those. We're now 2.5 games back because the Brewers lost today to the Buccos. Thank you, Buccos, for winning 4-2 versus the Brewers in a great series. One that we leaned on our pitching heavily. It was some low-scoring games. And then we went out to the Reds. We, in a doubleheader on Friday, win game 1. I'm thinking the whole time, dude, if we sweep these guys, we're going to go huge. We're going to officially close the coffin on the Reds. Friday night comes around. We're up 1 going into the 9th. We're feeling good, thinking Adbert's going to close the door, and the Reds get him. Martini hits a home run. They push a run across, win it in the 9th.
It happens. And I will say, the last couple outings from Adbert, he does look a little fatigued. He's probably pitched the most high leverage games of his career, and you can see it's wearing on him a little bit. Next night, Cubs are up 1 after a brilliant pitching performance from Javier Assad. And I'm sorry, Javier Assad, we would not be in this playoff hunt if it wasn't for Javier Assad pitching every 5th day and just giving us a great outing after great outing. Just a magnificent outing by the man. Do you remember he struggled at the beginning of the season? He lost that opportunity to be the starter. He worked his way back out of the bullpen, and he's just been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Shoved for 8. You couldn't ask for any better performance from somebody that isn't in the rotation.
He's in the rotation. He's officially.
He is now. He belongs there.
But then it turns into the 9th inning, and some people want to see Javier Assad go back out there. Just like today, a lot of people want to see Justin Steele go back out there when he's pitched 107 pitches. And this is the most innings he's pitched in his career, and we're in a playoff hunt. Do we really want to throw a guy out there and maybe possibly have an injury? I wouldn't. I'm going to lean on our bullpen. Anyway, we go with Mark Leiter. I'm just going to say that during this offseason, we DFA'd Mark Leiter.
And now he's pitching high leverage situations game after game. And he ended up not having a good inning, ended up blowing the save. And what I witnessed after that was Cubs Twitter in a meltdown because we blew 2 games in back-to-back games in the 9th, which I get, like it sucks. But are they brutal losses? No.
No, they're not brutal losses.
Brutal losses is losing 14-0 and getting absolutely just shellacked.
But handed to you on a silver platter. I don't know. I've taken a different mindset towards my fandom towards Cub baseball. It's not that I'm lesser of a fan. I just remember a tweet from our good friend Joe Kilgallen. It's better as for us Cub fans to be more of a casual fan now that they've won a World Series, because we'll never, ever feel that elation of seeing that drought end. And if you're going to get upset and hang your emotions on a sports team, you will be let down more than you will ever be rewarded. Just calm yourselves.
I don't know if I'm like that take of like, I'm still super emotional. And maybe it's because like I've played a lot of sports and I've been around a lot of coaches that have taught me to not like to be more even keel when it comes to my reactions. Inside, like I have huge reactions, but I've to like when I'm playing in a competition to keep it under control. And I think that's transferred over to how I even watch games now. Because I go back 10 years ago, I would be ticked off, throwing things like, but now I'm more like, oh no, I can understand the process. And especially baseball, when it's 162 games, these are going to happen sometimes where you blow games in the 9th. These just happen to be back-to-back games. And people being upset with Ross going with Leiter.
Who's he supposed to go to?
Exactly. Like, I get you could go with Merriweather, but he's been heavily used. You could have brought in Alzolay. He's been pretty heavily used. You could have gone with, who'd we call up? Sean Green. That would have been a possibility. We could have gone with Keegan Thompson. But I'm sorry. I think we saw the next day on Sunday, he gave up 2 runs. He would have been no better. That would have been a blow and save.
Yeah. He pitched an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs or something like that. So there's some walks in there too. But
my thing is, and this will lend into when we're talking about Alexander Canario. David Ross is going to go with the guys that have got us this far. We're in a playoff hunt because of Mark Leiter Jr. being a staple in our bullpen. And when our other 2 horses that we've leaned on heavily, Merriweather and Alzolay, maybe need a day, because that happens in baseball when you're playing 162 games. You're going to go with the 3rd horse and put them in because they give you the best chance to win you that game. And so, like, yeah, I would have gone with that. It didn't work out. But you know what? Did we really lose that much ground? Actually, in the wild card, we made ground this week. So I was pretty like just the overreactions on. I get 1-run games are emotional, especially when you blow games are emotional. But like I guarantee you, Adbert Alzolay and closers that blow and saves can turn the page really quick and move on to the next game. And they flushed it already and they've moved on. That's how I've kind of viewed games like that and how I've trained myself, even as a fan, to like, nope, flush that game. We put our best pitcher in a position to win. He didn't come through. That's all right. Move on to the next game. And I get like wins here now are crucial. We need those wins. But you know what? If we to hang on that, then we wouldn't have won Sunday and we wouldn't have won today.
Oh yeah. It's like that book you told me about, Getting to Neutral. Don't let negative thoughts in your head. Just move on. But
control, you can control. Like,
you totally can, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. People are screaming they want us to win the division really bad.
I want us to win the division too.
I would feel it'd be absolutely fantastic if we won the division. But whether you win the division or you're a wild card team, if you win the last game of the season, it doesn't really matter how you got in the playoffs.
Laz, like you say, Palencia. I love Palencia, but you know what? He has a high walk rate too. He walks a lot of guys, and I don't know. Drew Smiley, get out of here.
He had pitched the day before. He threw 53 pitches the day before. He wasn't coming out.
Green may, but again, it's going to go back to David Ross. And even if I was the coach, I'm going to lean on my guys that I know and trust that have been here for almost the whole season. I'm going to lean on those guys to win me ball games. Not a guy who I don't know at all and have never seen him pitch in person before. And he just happens to now wear a Cubs uniform, and I'm going to throw him in a high leverage situation when I'm in a playoff hunt to get me a win. I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't do it.
He's number 27.
Yes, one inning. Yes, I would. One inning. Like he is, but he's the 28th, 29th guy on my roster. I'm not going to put them when Leiter's the man. Like in that situation, I'm sorry. Did it work out? No. But you know what? I would roll him back out there the next day.
I think people forget Mariano Rivera blew some saves too in his day. I mean, it happens. It happens to everybody. Flush it. Move on to the next.
And it's that good closers flush it. Hey, and remember 6 months ago when we were saying we just want to play meaningful baseball in September? Well, hey, folks, we're at meaningful baseball. It's September. But we don't quite have to lose our shit every game.
And I love this reaction from Scott. If fans ran the team, Madrigal would be DFA'd, Happ would be in the 7-hole, and Say would be benched. And it's true. Like, that's so true.
Yep.
Like, we're going to lean on the guys that have got us here, in the playoffs. Nick Madrigal has played a crucial role in getting us here. Him moving positions and playing an amazing third base and getting hit after it. Sunday, he was the guy who drove in and got a key hit to get the runs across to help us win that ball game when we needed it in that inning. Like,
yeah, it's just so happened in one of those 1-run games. Like I think he pitched it for Morale. He made contact. It was hard contact. It's just right at somebody. I mean, he's a contact guy. I think it was the right move for that situation at the time. But I'd like to know how many fans out there have actually won a fantasy baseball league with just Chicago Cubs players.
Well, I have Jimmer Candelario, Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, and Nico Horner all on my team, and I'm in third place in my fantasy team right now. I don't have any of the pitching staff, which I really wish I had Justin Steele.
Oh, yeah. Who won
Steele in your life right there.
And I tried to pick up Assad. He got picked up. I missed on the waivers Jordan Wicks. Guess who got him? Jake.
Yep.
But yeah, like that's where I'm at when it comes to our bullpen. Are they being they're taxed? So my question to you guys is, with them being super taxed right now, how do we handle that going forward when we've played a lot of 1-run ball games and we're going to play a lot of 1-run ball games in this next week? Because we still have the Giants, Arizona, and then we have the Reds again. Well, how do we go forward? If let's say we're in a 1-run ball game and it's the 6th inning, and let's say Assad's pitch count is up to like 100 or like 90. He needs to come out. He's laboring. Who do we go to in that 6th inning, 7th inning, maybe to get us out of the 6th and then forward? Where do we go? Who do we go to get us out of the 6th? There's a runner on second base, and then pitch 7th, 8th, and 9th. Who'd you go with?
Well, you know how we've done it all season. We went Leiter, Merriweather, Alzolay to finish the game.
So you go Leiter to finish the 6th, and then he would start the 7th?
Maybe. That's what I struggle with, knowing when to pull them, whether you give them a fresh inning or not. I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of conversation about keeping them fresh inning. But
what if we have a big inning, like after he finishes the 6th, and we have a big inning at the top of the 7th?
See, that's where I like.
Now he's sitting on the bench for a while and he's a little cold. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's where I've liked when we've had these big innings.
Kevin froze.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I would do is to get through the 6th. I would definitely go with Leiter. He's been pretty good in coming with kind of a messy inning and getting out of there. Or depending on the matchup, Palencia, if we needed a strikeout, like Palencia's pretty good at getting a strikeout, but he also does walk guy. If there was just a guy in second base with a base open and we had one out, I would roll the dice and get Palencia to be able to get that one strikeout and get us out of the inning. But mostly it'd be Leiter Jr. Then 7th, 8th, 9th, that's where it'd be tough because you have that middle inning where you can't go Merriweather 8th or in the 7th because you might need him in the 8th to get to Elsley in the 9th. So then who do you lean on and trust? We need one more guy in the bullpen to trust. And you know who it might be?
Might be a guy at Iowa right now.
Brandon Hughes.
A lefty?
Lefty, Brandon Hughes.
Yep.
Just pitched a scoreless inning in his action. He was hitting 93 with his fastball. Had his changeup was working. Talked to Alex Cohen, heard Alex Cohen and saw his tweet, like looked sharp, looked good. We're going to need a couple more of those, but I think he can make his way back. And we've talked about it a lot on this podcast that we've needed another lefty in that pin. That would be a huge get back for this team if we could get Brandon Hughes back for the last couple of weeks. I know you would say, well, he hasn't been a guy we've counted all season, but he was last year, and we've seen him before, and Ross knows who he is. So
I agree.
I'll tell you what, you boys got some sketchy internets tonight.
Sorry.
Let's get into today's game. So we had Cody Bellinger and Seiya Suzuki again leading this team, and that's been kind of the story of this last month. Is them two been kind of carrying the offense. Dansby's been kind of struggling. Happer's been turning it on as of late. Jimmer Candelario hasn't been. He's just kind of struggled a little bit here and there, not being able to with strikeouts. Strikeouts kind of been getting him, but Belly doing belly things and Seiya getting red hot when we've needed it. I think I saw that Cody Bellinger is and Shohei Ohtani are the only players in Major League Baseball to lead their team in average home run and RBIs this season.
To lead in all three of those categories at the same time.
In all three of those categories.
That's crazy. Love throwing him in the Shohei mix.
Yeah, but like Seiya today, like he was seeing Webb really, really well. And he hit a home run, a double, a line drive, and he was taking the ball oppo. And that's had to do against Webb. That's how you get him as a righty is he's going to be working away and trying to get you fit. Let's work with it and take the ball away. And you saw that today. What do you have? 3 RBIs? 3 of the 5, I think he had.
I believe so.
Where is it?
It'd be in the column that says RBI, and then it might say 2, possibly 3.
But yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Seiya at the plate.
It's great. It's been an awesome turnaround for him. I really do like how he's aggressive, but yet disciplined at the same time. He just looks confident in the batter's box, which when he was struggling, it's like he looked nervous.
Yeah, he looked lost. He looked like he was guessing up there, or he wasn't being him.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing.
Wasn't doing Seiya things. The things that he's done his whole career leading up to this. I agree. He kind of got out of his usual, routine. if you want to call it a routine when you're in the batter's box. But he's looked aggressive. His hands have looked fast, which was always a thing about him, getting his barrel to the zone as quick as possible. And he had so much natural pop that he could drive the ball even when he's just kind of fending a pitch off. He's fun to watch in the batter's box.
Another player that has been key to this, and we brought him up earlier, has been Ian Happ. What have you kind of noticed in Ian Happ and his approach at the plate? Because he's come up with some really key RBIs, driving in some go-ahead runs in the last week. I think he had three games where he hit a go-ahead single to drive in a run. What have you kind of noticed with Ian Happ? Jeffrey?
Me, it's hard to really pick up on little like the idiosyncrasies of Ian Happ because he doesn't really show a lot of emotion. I don't know. To me, his swing looks a little different. I don't know if he was kind of getting on a different swing plane there for a while, and he was missing balls low, swinging underneath the balls that were in the zone, but I think he's being more selective about what he's swinging at, and he's not chasing as much. But I think a lot of it comes back is when he started making some stellar defensive plays out in the outfield. Like, I think it gave him like a shot in the arm that, hey, I can still play this game. I can actually do this. Kevin, have you noticed anything?
He always walks a lot. That's part of his game. You can tell when he's seeing the ball well. But and it's anecdotal. I don't have any evidence to back this up. But it seems like when there's somebody on base ahead of him, he's changed his approach to be wait and see a little more, to punch it into a hole or have a deep fly ball to move the runner around and to score those runs. I wonder if it's an aspect of all these one-run wins and losses we've had that they've been talking about, hey, if we get a runner on ahead of you, don't worry about, like, work on getting that run across the plate.
Yep.
Kind of seems what I've noticed.
Ian Happ's slash line in high leverage situations when he's up to bat, he's batting 308, 491, 462 slug, in a 166 WRC plus. Those are pretty good numbers. I'd take those numbers from.
Those are good numbers, right? Those are good things.
Those are the good ones.
Those are the good ones. Love it.
And he's not doing too much. I think that's what he's not letting the moment get too big for him. And he always works great counts. He always puts himself in a position and he knows the strike zone well, and he's not going to expand out of his zone. And you've seen him take a lot of walks, but like when he needs to dump a ball and just hit like a little single right over the infield, he does it. Like, he doesn't try to do too much. And you kind of see that same approach with Cody Bellinger. Like, I wonder if Belly is rubbed off over the course of the season on Ian Happ and being able to do better with that, of being able to just dump the ball when you need to. And I love it. I love what I'm seeing out of Ian Happ. We'll get into, let's transition to Alexander Canario talk, because I've seen a lot of people getting upset that we haven't played Alexander Canario. And I think even our buddy Jake today, Jake
Ryan Banowski, baseball budge.
How is Canario still not in the lineup? And then Ian did a little tweet thing too.
Mahan.
Added to it.
Ian Mahan.
Oh, we're calling full names. Yeah, we're calling you out. So if you're listening, Ian, I'm going to actually bring it up. What'd he say? Two Jakes post about how is Canario still not in the lineup. He posted, replies are wild. Why call him up then for all those that are such genius roster managers? Why call him up? Well, one, you had expanded rosters, so we needed to add two because we had to add. And really, there wasn't really anybody else that was already on to be able to add up. Like, why not like add 2 guys rather than no guys? So there's that.
Right.
Why is he not getting playing time?
Well, just remember, he is our number 14 prospect, according to, Cubs.com. He's not really a guy that's gotten us into this playoff hunt. So why should he get a start in the field over somebody that's been grinding all season long? I read an article today where the Cubs' plan for him is to get him some bats when they can. Without the, pitch hitting for the pitcher, there's less pitch hit opportunities for players these days. So they're not going to come that often. Maybe he might pitch run here and there. I don't know, but should he get a play over Ian Happ or Seiya or
Talkman? Should he play over? We brought this up a couple weeks ago when we were talking about PCA getting opportunity to play up there. PCA adds something different to this team with his legs. So I could see him getting playing time more as a pinch runner if getting called up. I don't see him getting playing time out in the field. One, PCA has been going through a little bit of a struggle right now at Iowa. He's been going through it. When it comes to Alexander Canario, and it goes back to Ross is going to lean on his guys. Like Talkman, he knows what he's gotten in Talkman enough. Like he's played in Major League Baseball. He knows what he has in Talkman. He's not going to take him out of there. Ian Happ, Gold Glove outfielder, has turned it on as of late. Seiya's turned on as late. Now I could see your argument when you're playing Patrick Wisdom and Patrick Wisdom's struggling right now, that maybe Canario should get a DH and get in that bat. But at the same time, it's he has not seen any major league pitching so far. And I would pick and choose when I'm going to use that dude in these 1-run ball games. And it's about trust as a manager. Like I'm going to go with guys that I've been around and trust, and I'm a really loyal person. And so I would go with the guys who I trust. And right now I don't have nothing to lean back on to like trust Canario. Now, is he a good baseball player? Yeah. He's done a lot to come back from injury.
Yeah.
And it should be applauded.
Speaking of that, he's played 50 minor league games this season. 50. Now, remember when we had Dale Hosmer and everybody was screaming to DFA him so we get Mash Mervis up here? That didn't go well. He didn't hit like everybody thought he was going to hit.
And a reminder that him and Mervis were the home run kings of 2 years ago in the minors. I'm not saying that Canario couldn't prove it and couldn't do well if he got his chance. But right now, he's not going to take at bats away from Nick Madrigal. He's proven enough for me. He's not going to take at bats away from anybody that's starting regularly. Now I could see if we go with Wisdom or Morale, who's struggling right now, but at the same time, Ross has done a good job over the course of the season of getting guys back right, finding positions of putting them in to get them back right. And I think his higher priority list on his list of priorities, it's trying to figure out how to get them back right rather than get Alexander Canario playing time for next year that he might be better for next year. We're in a playoff hunt. He's got to correct the guys. He's got to figure out how to make the guys that he's been in it all season with get back. We need Morel. I'm sorry. He's electric. We need Morel back. He's got to figure out how to get him some at bats because we haven't seen a lot of Morel besides the one start. We haven't seen a lot of Morel the last 2 weeks. We need to figure out, since he had a big walk-off home run, because he went through and struggled for a little bit. So like, that's where I'm at. I would rather see Morel. And I kind of view Canario as a little bit better of a Nelson Velasquez.
Okay.
A little better version of Nelson Velasquez. He's
I haven't
gonna
seen him enough
he
to
might
know.
surprise you and hit some really fun home runs, but I still want to see another year from Canario, and then maybe next year give him the time, but not right now. That's just where I'm at personally. You might disagree, but that's where I'm at with Canario. Would you guys agree?
I
Kevin?
agree totally.
Yeah, my one hiccup with this was yesterday's game in the 9th inning, because we were up 12-7 at that point. I could see a pinch hit then, but at the same time, I can kind of see where Ross may have been a little busy trying to figure out who he was going to pitch the next inning, because our bullpen was taxed and everything, and that was when Shane Green came in. But I don't know. I don't know that here's something. I was just looking this up, hence my being a little distracted. Do you know Miles Mastrobuoni's still on this team?
Yes.
What?
Like, yeah, like there. I was looking through.
Is he in
like,
Chicago?
yeah.
He
pinch hit
hit the other day. He had pinch hit yesterday. Did he bunt?
I think it was a bunt.
I think he bunted to move.
Jesus.
Yeah, one of those like, okay, so that guy's on the roster. That guy's probably going to get playing time before Canario will, because we're not in a season like we have been in the last couple of years where you're trying to get guys playing time to see what they can do next year, because we're in the middle of a push. You don't necessarily do that in the middle of a push.
We're in the hunt.
We're in the hunt.
We're
You know what you don't do in the middle of the hunt? You don't change firearms to see maybe this one will work okay right now.
No, you don't.
So I don't know. That was my feeling, was like maybe that game, but all these other one run games, I don't think so.
No.
And in that game, do you know who was DHing in the game? We won 15-7.
No.
Bellinger.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a game that got Madrigal in at third. So you
gotta keep him hot.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the talent happy. That's what I always say.
Darren brought up a little bit about Assad. I want to comment a little bit. So Darren said the computer nerd show Assad's degree of angle change, getting under the ball, is a tad more is making the change. The eyeball shows a more aggressive approach. Sure isn't hurting, and it's both. His launch angle has changed. Before the benching, his launch angle was at 9.1 degrees. Since the benching and him coming back, it's at 11.4. But he's also his attack in swinging at more pitches has definitely increased. Like, he's way more aggressive at the plate. We talked about that like 2 or 3 episodes ago. That has made a huge difference. He's swinging at more strikes in the zone where before he was taking those. So it's a little bit of both. So yeah, Darren, it is like the computer nerds would say launch angle, but it's a little bit of both. Like he's hitting the ball and he's hitting the ball in the air a lot more. And what was it? His percent of hard hit balls has went from like most of those being on the ground to now being fly balls. So, I mean, ground balls are usually outs unless you're hitting it right up the middle or finding a gap. So like, it's hard to hit a ground ball through the hole. These guys are good. And so finding a gap out in the outfield.
Yeah.
Driving ball.
And in the heat of Chicago right now, you really want to get that ball up in the air. Let it fly. Let it ride the wind if the wind's blowing out.
U.S. Sports Cards asks, how do you guys feel about White Sox fans jumping ship on the south side and starting to root for the Cubs for the rest? Come on board.
Hey,
I welcome
more the
you.
merrier. Just no fighting in the bleachers.
No gunshots.
No gunshots. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We got a couple ground rules, but Bleacher Jeff's gonna take care of you there. You're gonna need to follow Dom and take back anything bad you've said at him on Twitter.
I mean, I welcome, like,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't jump ship to go root for the White Sox, but if they're willing to do that, come join, more the merrier. But now you're officially Cubs fans and you can't go back. Like,
right.
You're
it's a one
choose a side. So if you're going to come over, you're one of us now and you can't go back. I mean, their team might be moving anyway, right?
Yeah, there's a handful of rules for being a sports fan. One, you can't be a fan of both Chicago teams. You're either north side, south side. And also, you can't be a fan of another team in the same league. Like, you can't be a Cubs fan and like a Pirates fan or.
Well, I was cheering for the Pirates tonight.
Those are situational.
Situational fandom. When they're trying to help us out, that's allowed, but you can't have like on one wall Cubs stuff and on the other wall like Arizona Diamondback stuff. That's just weird. Pick somebody from the AL, all right?
I break your rule already, Jeff, because I like the San Francisco Giants. Except when Cubs are playing them.
But the Cubs they have 2 more games with the Giants. They have officially moved to 2.5 games back of Milwaukee and now 3 games up in the wild card. The wild card standings go as such. Philadelphia Phillies 5 games up, Cubs 3 games up. Then we have Arizona, Cincinnati tied, and then Miami a half game back and San Francisco a game back. So we could really, like we were supposed to do with the Reds, we could shut the coffin and bury the Giants here. And so let's take this opportunity. The Cubs have Wicks going tomorrow.
There's a Hendricks.
Where's it? Hendricks. Hendricks and then Wicks. So Hendricks and then Wicks, a 6:40 game tomorrow, a 1:20 game on Wednesday. Then going forward, the schedule.
We got Colorado on the 11th.
Yep.
So
we have Arizona in between that.
Yeah.
A 4-game set versus Arizona in between that.
So this is like the second half of a stressful 2-week of games. We're going to finish up against the Giants. They're trying for the wild card. The Diamondbacks, I think they're fighting for the division or the wild card with us. So they're going to want to win really bad. No team's is going to give us a game. We got to go out and win these.
Yep. So just keep winning. That's what we've said the last 3 weeks. Just keep winning.
Yep.
Just keep winning. And then everything else will take care of itself. And a reminder, this is fun. Like, we're watching meaningful games. That's what we asked for. We wanted meaningful games in September, in October, and we're getting it. So enjoy it. I get, like, sometimes our emotions get the best of us, but we need to, like, what can we control? We can control our emotions. We can't control what's going out in the field. Is our fandom sometimes going to play a role in, like, thinking that we know more than the manager? Yes. But sometimes before we hit send, let's think a little bit and think rationally, and maybe talk to a friend before we hit send. That's my.
How about you go to the kitchen and get a cookie?
Some of y'all are angry.
Do something else before you just take to Twitter. And I'm not calling it X. I will never call it X.
But yeah. Again, I just want to give it up to Justin Steele today. Pitched amazing. It was. If you're listening, Justin, which I know occasionally you do, we love you and thank you for being our Cy Young, because it's been a pleasure this year to watch you toe the rubber and pitch for us this season. We're lucky. We're lucky to watch you.
If he doesn't win the Cy Young, I'm going to whoever does win it and stealing it.
That could have gone a lot of different ways coming from Jeff. So it ending in just a stolen thing, and nobody's like getting ankles beaten with a bat, or you should hear the other stuff he says in the mornings at CrossFit.
Our house is burned to the ground.
Yeah,
that's what he says often. Yep.
I have come around that, like, we should sign Belly back next year.
It is right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if I ever wasn't like against it. I just like, let's just see how it plays out. But man, I love Cody Bellinger.
I love him too. I'm a little worried that price tag's going to be real steep.
Oh, it's going to be
steep.
But
I'm a little worried that here's our hot take. I'm a little worried that he could be Jason Hayward part 2. Like he signed him to a big contract. He had a
Don't.
great year now and
No.
a couple years. I'm just a little burnt on outfielders on really big contracts right now. I'll just tell you that.
Jason Hayward's best season is
Don't
when he
speak of his name. It's a curse.
He split time with the Braves and the Cardinals, and then he came to us and was like, "You forgot how to swing a bat? How's this happen?"
I'm telling you, I don't know why it's in my head. Like, nope, we don't sign guys to really expensive contracts except Shohei.
No, Shohei's going to the Dodgers. Anyway, make sure that you're following us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs, and if you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button to the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel, where you can check us out every single Monday night, as well as our buddies at Cubs on Tap. Those guys are awesome. So go check them out, as well as all the other Chicago sports content and podcasts. On Tap Sports Network has you covered. So go check out ontapsportsnetwork.com, as well as the YouTube channel, and subscribe to that, because Bears are starting up here. Bears and Packers this next week. Jeffrey's a big Packers fan.
Eat it, Jeff.
It'll be a fun, but go check them out. They got Bears content, Bulls content, Blackhawk content, everything, all the Chicago sports. So go check them out, and go say hi to our friends over at Cubs on Tap, doing big things over there. So thanks for listening. This does it for episode 135 of the Dingers podcast. Go Cubs, and we're gonna make the playoffs.
Go Cubs, go.
So